My parents secretly gave my entire college fund to my older brother, $40,000. And the worst part, they expected me to be okay with it. I found out my parents gave away my college fund on a random Tuesday afternoon. Not from them, not from my brother, but from my aunt. She called me out of nowhere and said something that completely confused me. Hey, are you sure you're okay with your parents giving all that money to Jason? I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about, so I asked her what she meant. There was a long pause on the phone, then she said something that made my stomach drop. You know, the money they saved for your college. Apparently, my parents had been telling the entire family that they decided to give my college fund to my older brother Jason because he needed it more. And the worst part, nobody thought it was strange, because Jason had always been the favorite. Growing up, Jason could do no wrong. If he got bad grades, it was because the teachers were unfair. If he got in trouble, it was because someone else started it. Meanwhile, if I got a B instead of an A, it was suddenly a huge lecture about responsibility and discipline. So hearing that they gave him my college fund honestly didn't shock me, but it still hurt. The fund had around $40,000 in it. My parents had been saving since I was a kid. At least, that's what they always told me. After my call with my aunt, I went straight to my parents' house to ask them about it. At first, they tried to pretend they didn't know what I was talking about, but eventually, my dad admitted it. He said Jason was going through a tough time. Apparently, my brother had decided to start a business. And by business, I mean he wanted to open a sneaker reselling store. My parents thought it was a great opportunity, so they gave him the money, my money. Their reasoning? Well, you're responsible. You'll figure things out. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They didn't even ask me. They just assumed I'd deal with it. So I asked them one question. How much did you give him? My mom answered like it was no big deal. All of it, just like that, $40,000 gone. I'll be honest, I was furious. But I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just said okay and left. Because at that moment, I realized something important. Jason had never actually been responsible for anything in his life. Everything he had ever done worked out because someone bailed him out. But this time, I wasn't going to. A few weeks later, Jason opened his sneaker store. He rented a small storefront, bought inventory, and started posting about it everywhere. My parents were incredibly proud. They kept telling everyone in the family how Jason was an entrepreneur now. But there was one small problem. Jason didn't actually understand business. He spent most of the money on rare sneakers he thought would skyrocket in value. Except they didn't, and within 3 months, the store was almost empty. Jason had blown through nearly all the money. That's when my parents started getting nervous. But instead of admitting the mistake, they started hinting that maybe I should help him. At one family dinner, my dad said something like, "You know, you're good with money. Maybe you could help Jason get things organized." I knew exactly what that meant. They wanted me to fix the mess, but I had already made up my mind. So I told them something very simple. I think Jason should learn how to handle his own business. My parents weren't happy about that, but they couldn't force me. A month later, the store closed. Jason couldn't pay the rent anymore. The inventory had lost value, and most of the money was gone. That's when he finally called me. He sounded stressed. He said he needed help figuring out what to do next. I asked him a question. "Do you remember where the money came from?" He was quiet for a moment. Then he said he knew, and honestly, I almost felt bad for him. Almost. But at the end of the day, it wasn't my responsibility to clean up the situation. My parents had made a choice. They decided Jason deserved that opportunity more than I did. And Jason had made his own choices too. So I told him the same thing my parents told me when they gave away my college fund. You'll figure it out. The crazy part? Everything actually worked out for me in the end. I ended up going to a cheaper school, working part-time, and graduating without debt. And Jason, well, he learned a very expensive lesson about business, one that cost exactly $40,000.